continue on with my puppy series. And as I made mention before, I am very active on Facebook in a lot of Bull Terrier specific groups and a lot of dog specific groups. And one of the issues that I most commonly see, at least multiple times a day from multiple people in regards to Bull Terrier puppies, is biting. I see a ton of people asking questions about biting and how to handle biting, because if you're not familiar with Bull Terrier puppies, you may not realize that they are a very mouthy breed, and they are also hard biters, or they kind of lean towards having very hard mouths, hard bites. And what hard mouth means is that their mouths are not as sensitive to pressure, so they tend to bite down a lot harder before they actually notice how hard they're biting. And a puppy who's biting skin, that could be incredibly painful for you. And Bull Terriers as a breed, they use their mouths kind of a lot more than some other breeds. And it can be a lot harder to break them of this mouthing. So it can be pretty intense for people who are not used to Bull Terrier puppies. If you are familiar with Bull Terrier puppies, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But for new owners, people who are not used to Bull Terriers or bully breeds, it can be kind of scary, especially because sometimes Bull Terrier puppies can almost seem very aggressive about it, because they'll get very worked up. And for young puppies, especially Bull Terrier puppies, when they get worked up, they tend to make a lot of noise. Druid, for example, she will actually raise the hair on her back, her hackles, and that's not her being aggressive, it's not her being defensive, it's not her being mean. That's just her excitement. That's what happens when she gets excited. Now, Drew, leave my camera be. Now, for people who are not used to that, that can seem very scary, especially a young puppy who's, you know, intense about biting at you, maybe biting at your face, hackles raised, going, "Rah!" That can be very, very scary. And it generally comes off to new owners, and even some owners who have never seen a Bull Terrier puppy act like that. Some don't, not all of them do. But for people, that can be very scary. So one of the things that I want to talk about is how to work with that. Now, one of the things I'm going to say is that there are no overnight fixes. There is no, you know, 1 week and it's done, over with. There is no magic cure. It's consistency. And with Druid, for example, she's 8 months, and I work from home, and I am with her all day, every day. I'm constantly training her, and she still has a tendency to come up and nip on me when she gets excited. And one of the best things that you can do is redirection, and I will tell people this all the time, is when they come up and start biting on you, grab a toy, shove it in their mouth, grab food, and redirect them into doing something you want. Maybe asking them to sit, maybe asking them to focus, maybe asking them to just stand there and look at you. Just anything besides biting. Now, some people think that that's a bribe. It's not a bribe. You're not just throwing treats at them while they're biting you. You're going to redirect them into a different action, and you'll reward that other action. So if your puppy is coming up and biting on you and is very, very excited, would you guys leave my camera stand alone, please? Oh my god. When my camera topples over, it's because everybody is literally hovering in and out of my tripod. So you're just redirecting the action into a different action that is more appropriate, and you're rewarding that. Another thing that I want to talk about is yesterday I seen a post in a group, and people were talking about somebody was having a problem with their puppy, with their child. This is super common. I'm not gonna name names, I'm not gonna shame anybody, but the person was just, she was getting very upset, understandably so. Her Bull Terrier puppy was biting at her child, her toddler, and she didn't know how to stop it, and people were telling her, well, spank the puppy, alpha roll the puppy, show the puppy who's boss, tell him no. And one of the things I want to mention is people don't realize how long it can take for a puppy to learn a command, because a puppy's learning only goes as far as how strong of a connection you make with a command to an action. So if you don't spend a lot of time reinforcing a command to a specific action, your dog's never going to quite get it. And this just is pure consistency, and constantly the action always equals, the action always equals. So with puppies, when you yell no, 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 I mean, you yell no at them to stop chewing on something, stop biting, get off the couch, get off the counter, don't chew on that, don't chase the cat. There's never really a specific action to the word no. And so all puppies really understand is just your frustration and your anger, and they don't quite grasp what that command no means unless you teach them. And the only way that you're going to teach them is by showing them what is appropriate. So if your dog doesn't know what behavior is expected of them through training and positive training and redirection and guidance, it's kind of I don't want to say abusive, but it's unfair to correct a puppy for things, for doing behaviors that they don't fully grasp is wrong. And the only way that they're going to grasp what is wrong is by telling them what is right. Imagine if you went to work and your boss, instead of saying, okay, here's how we do the job, he just comes up to you randomly and yells at you and says no whenever you're doing something. You're going to become nervous about messing up. You may even become defensive. You may become angry because what am I doing wrong? Just tell me what I'm doing wrong. And the only way that you could tell a puppy what they're doing wrong is by showing them, putting actions into words or commands, if that's the case, or just reinforcing their behavior. And once your puppy understands what is right, then when you do offer a correction, either verbal or physical, like a leash pop, they're going to understand, okay, that's not what we do, this is what we do. So they can grasp what they're not supposed to be doing. They can understand what that correction is for. So when your puppy is biting you, and you have a very young puppy who's biting you, and you just say, no, stop it, they don't quite connect the dots until you teach them, okay, you're not supposed to do this, this is what you can do instead. So they have the option, they know what they're supposed to be doing and not what they're not supposed to be doing. So the best way to work on puppies biting you is redirection and guiding them into what you do want them to do. Focus on that. And I know that can be extremely hard. Trust me, I've had multiple Bull Terrier puppies. I've had some of the worst Bull Terrier puppies who just want to bite, 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 bite. And I've had puppies who are, they pick it up within a couple months. I have puppies like Druid who it's 8 months and she still likes to nip and bite. And we are still working on that. Please! Watch it. So my advice is these guys are persistent and you're gonna feel overwhelmed and you're gonna make mistakes. We all do. I know I've had a couple of times where I've just wanted to rip my hair out and say, no, no, no. And there's a couple of times where I've had to step back and walk out of the room and just be like, oh my God, stop freaking biting me. It hurts. And it does, it hurts. I've had bruises all up and down my arm. I've had blood blisters from them biting so hard. It hurts and it's hard. And you're gonna come to that point and it's understandable. But just take it one day at a time. Take each time as it comes. Try and breathe through it. Try and work through it. Try and remind yourself, okay, I just haven't gotten it yet. I want to strangle this little cuss. I'm not going to, but I want to. And it's understandable. That's a valid understanding. Trust me, I get it. But as many times as you can redirect, the better. The more chances you can, you know, just step back and say, okay, just let me just. And I've had times where I have let my puppies gnaw on my arms and just drag myself over and grab a toy and shove it in their mouth and say, oh, just take that toy. I get it, okay? And like I said, I mean, she's been alive for 8 months, okay? She doesn't have the cognitive ability yet to completely grasp absolutely everything she learns in a quick amount of time. She's not an adult dog. Her brain is still growing. Her brain is still developing. And a lot of people, when they have a puppy for 5-6 months, they don't realize this, that their brains are still growing and developing. And they're gonna go through these moments. They're just like kids. They're, you know, it takes time and it takes patience and it takes consistency. And you're gonna go to, and like I tell everybody, you're gonna go to bed at night and maybe you wanna cry about it, cry about it. Just get up the next day and say, okay, we're gonna fix this, we're gonna work on this. You're not gonna be a horrible dog, we're just gonna keep working on this. And if you really can't take it, put them somewhere safe, like a crate, put them outside in a pen and just, you know, take a breath, take a breather. It's okay. I just want you to, I just want new puppy owners to realize it's okay. But your best course of action is redirection, guiding your puppy into behaviors you want instead of just correcting the behavior you don't. But if you really have a really tough, difficult puppy, another thing I want to mention is that these guys are terriers, and terriers are very reactive to motion, sudden motion, loud noises. So when people say, you know, if your puppy bites you, squeal. That is one of the worst things you can do with a bull terrier puppy, because they're bred to hunt rodents, or they were originally. They're terriers, so loud squeaking noises and whooshing noises or yelling or anything like that, any sort of excitement and flailing around, that gets them worked up. They think that's play. They think that's, you know, that's fun. That's a fun game. Hey, hey, here. See, she was getting too rough with Nichols right there, so I redirected. Here, come. And I stopped it. And I reward that because she stopped. But when you flail around and you get excited and you see right there how she started jumping up on me, and probably if I would have kept going she would have started biting me, because she's a terrier. That's what they do. So if you've got a puppy who's biting you, and even though it hurts like a son of a, if you flail around and say no, 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 and start flailing and jumping around, which is something that my husband does and I'm constantly trying to tell him, you're getting her worked up. Don't do that. Just relax. It's like, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, and he's flailing around, and I have to remind him that he can't do that because he's getting her worked up worse. But if you do that, you're going to find that your puppy is going to go after you more and more intensely. But you're going to find that flailing and all of that sort of thing is going to get your puppy worked up. And squealing and all of that is going to get your puppy worked up. And I know for some puppies, if you use a deep voice and say no, some puppies will actually, some bull terrier puppies will actually retaliate and say, don't you tell me no. Druid is one of those puppies. If you try and come at her with anger and aggression, she'll match it. And yes, you will, because you like to go woo 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 at me and say, you stop that. And I say, you're right, I'm being unfair. But like I said, biting is one of the hardest behaviors to work with because it's painful. It can be damaging, especially if you have children. But you should definitely be prepared for it if you get a Bull Terrier puppy. It is definitely something that you are going to encounter. How much depends on the dog itself, the puppy itself. Nichols, for example, she wasn't a big biter, but when she bit, she'd bite hard. But I was able to, she wasn't interested in chewing on me for more than the first couple of months. Druid is taking longer. Druid is just a more mouthy puppy. She just is. Caesar, he was never a mouthy puppy. Not really. He didn't really have that behavior. It depends on the puppy, and I just hope that you gain some insight into puppy biting with this video, working with your puppies, how to stop it without creating anxiety in your puppy, how to use corrections properly with your puppy. As I've said, I'm not opposed to corrections. I definitely will give my dogs a cuff on the leash to remind them, hey, you can't do that. You guys leave my camera alone. I will absolutely use a verbal correction with my dogs. You know, it's just unfair to use corrections if your dogs don't know what they should be doing or what you want them to do, because that's just not fair. You can't focus on what they can't do if you haven't taught them what they can do. You can't expect them to do good if you don't give them the options and the tools to do good. So that is my advice. I hope this has been helpful for anyone with a Bull Terrier puppy. Oh, I want you to know that whatever you're going through, just be consistent. Keep it up. Try not to worry. You're gonna worry, you're gonna freak out, you're gonna cry, maybe. You're gonna feel like crying for sure. That's normal. With a Bull Terrier puppy, that's normal. They will break you down, and it is your job to rebuild yourself back up. Also, they can do it all over again. But I hope this video was helpful. I've been talking forever, so